Wow, are we in some energetics this weekend? So, theme of the weekend, truth. Truth will set you free. Is there a truth that you need to speak? What is the truth about your relationships, your friendships, your family relationships, your intimate partnerships? What is the truth about long-term contracts? That's a really good one to feel into. We have Juno conjunct the sun, goddess of marriage and long-term contracts. Vows that you have taken. This could be a tough weekend. Really revelatory. We just had the full moon. It's still shining bright, but we're on the other side. We're on the letting go side now. We're on the death phase, the releasing phase. Though we've come to the culmination of the full moon, now we're headed to darker and darker and darker as we shed, as we shed, as we shed, as we shed, as we let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. Based on the truth that is being revealed to us. Wow. All right, I'm going to give us a quick down and dirty kind of astrology energy, some practices, some things to think about, reflective questions based on, as above, so below, as without, so within. What's going on out there is also bubbling up in here. And it's the in here that I'm mostly supportive of, mostly pointing toward in these conversations as a way of just helping us to really come into our fullness. Everything in ReWilding is about you coming into your full, wild, beautiful expression of you, right? That your greatest potentials, your truest true north. All right. So let's see how we can do that in this little conversation. One is we can't start this conversation. We can't have this conversation without going right back to that truth word. Truth. The truth will set you free. But at first it might hurt. At first it might cause chaos. The truth will set you free. What is it? And this is something I would do. Here's a great practice. Here's what's true. And then just write. Here's what's true in my home, in my work, in my relationship, in my health. Here's what's true. And you look at it from a technician standpoint. You look at it from bird's eye view. It's impersonal. Here's what's true. It's like you're looking at your life outside of yourself. You're an innocent bystander who's just giving you a very objective view of things. Here's what's true. That's really powerful. Next thing, do I need to speak my truth? Here's what's true. Do I need to share that? Do I need, this is a big one, readjust my boundaries? We have Saturn up in the mix. Boundaries. That's a big, big thing. This full moon was on the relationship axis, Eris and Libra. Boundaries. The sun is in Libra. Do I have to, based on my truth, who I am now and where I'm headed, who I'm becoming, what boundaries do I need to reset? Maybe boundaries with myself. Maybe boundaries with my time. Maybe boundaries with other people. How do I need to readjust my routines? Those are boundaries. My schedule to support my truth that's being revealed. Crazy powerful. Could take a little while to get into. Could also be a little bit tricksterish to get into. So let's talk about this little aspect happening this weekend. This starts on Friday, goes through the whole weekend. So we've talked in the past about yads or fingers of God. They're very fated. So it's beautiful because it's fated, but just because it's fated doesn't mean it's easy. So we have Neptune, which is the mystic. The mystic drops in the cloud of dissolving your ego, right? So that you can move from one form to another. He's like a great alchemist. He'll just literally dissolve your whole form into the absolute nothingness, and then he will bring back the parts, like recreate you based on the total dissolving of you. Isn't that fun? Yeah, from a high level mystical standpoint, that's one of the gifts of Neptune, the cloud of unknowing. This cloud descends upon you, you dissolve into the great unknown, and then you come back. Some of the parts don't come back that aren't meant to come back. They don't come back. But what does come back? All right, so that's discombobulating. That's like the perfect word for that. That's part of this finger of God. The other part of this finger of God is Uranus, the great awakener, Kundalini awakening. Just think Kundalini awakening. Revolutionary, the great awakener, pushing you into the new. Isn't this wild? And the sun is your primary part of self, your conscious self, the part of you that you identify with. Like, I am Sabrina. This is how I identify as. This is like my primary conscious self. So you have Both of these, the Great Awakener pushing you into the new Uranus, lightning bolts of radical awakening, aimed right at you, fated, finger of God, mixed in with the great mystic who's literally just dissolving your sun, your conscious part of self, dissolving you out into nothingness. Both of them hitting you. Now, this aspect's been going on for a while. This finger, because they're in that alignment, they're slow moving, Neptune and Uranus. So they've been in that. And then individually, different parts of self, planets, as without, so within, have been going over this finger of God. If you've been hanging out with me for a little while, you'll have remembered like, ooh, and the mind is going over this transition point. The mind is going over this like death for rebirth. It's like a renewal of the mind. Venus went over this renewal of the mind. So that like feminine aspect of us went over that. And it's really just this, like a death for a rebirth. It's a great renewal. That's what you can think of it as. It's the great renewal, the great renewal. So now it's the great renewal of your conscious self. That's fun. Just after this really intense full supermoon, we're still in that energy. Eris is still very loud. Eris is going to square Mars. We have two warriors about to face off. Eris battling for truth. Mars battling for, we could say, the ego, right? Mars can be very associated with ego, egoical desires, right? But when Mars is on the side of the heart of the deep truth, Eris, the deep truth, Mars goes to war for your deepest truth. Mars is warrior for your soul. Mars is warrior for your greatest potentials. Mars will warrior through, but it's getting him into alignment with that truth. That could be a really powerful practice too, from that truth exercise of like, what am I going to war for? Is what I'm fighting for, what I'm pouring my life force into. You don't have to think battling or fighting for. What I'm putting my life force into, what I'm putting, my energy into, what I'm just going to say what I'm fighting for. You can shift those words if that doesn't feel good for you, but it's like what I'm fighting for, is it coming from my deepest truth? Is it coming from my deepest truth? And that's what this Mars and Eris square is going to be about. And she's going to create chaos if it's not. Like, I remember I used to start all kinds of different companies before ReWilding. Like, I almost bought a pellet stove company. I was going to literally run pellet stoves. Like, I love pellet stoves. I think they're fucking great. Like, wood stoves. I was going to have a wood stove company. What in the ever-loving Sabrina? It was not coming from my deepest truth. It was chaos. It completely fell apart. Another one, I was going to buy an apple orchard. That one might have worked out. No, it wasn't coming from my deepest truth. I wasn't meant to live in Wisconsin on an apple orchard. I think I would have loved it for a little tiny bit and I would have been bored out of my mind. It's not what my deepest truth. It wasn't there. So I was going to war for something that wasn't coming from my deepest truth. I was fighting for something, trying to create something, pouring my life force into something that wasn't true. It never came to fruition. And so can we save ourselves some time, effort, and energy by really just, it's almost like ripping the Band-Aid off to reveal the truth. Can we just be so radically honest? This is a weekend of radical honesty. Like, so honest that it burns. And it's not that you have to be honest with everyone around you, but to be so honest with self and to take action from that place. This is an action moment in time. It really is an action moment in time. But where are you taking the action from? Are you taking the action from a surface level half-truth place? Are you taking the action from what your family wants you to do? Are you taking the action from this is what looks good on paper? Or are you taking the action from this is what fulfills my soul? Like me stepping into ReWilding, founding ReWilding, it was scary. It was terrifying. It was like horrific, but it fills my soul. It was from a deep, deep, deep truth. So feel for that. This is such a weekend of alignment. It really is. This is realignment. It's reshuffling. It's realignment. It's discombobulating of self to recombobulate self via Neptune and Uranus, the Great Awakener. They're just up-leveling us. They're and up-leveling our lives, really up-leveling our lives. Now to throw into the mix, I just want to check my time quick so I don't talk too much here. To throw into the mix, Pluto. Pluto is just going to be doing a number on us for a while. Now, we're building up to the sun. Remember, that's the conscious part of self, squaring Pluto, peaks on Tuesday. It's already here. This whole weekend, you can basically feel into, because Pluto's slow moving, sun square Pluto. And Pluto's just powerful as shit right now. He's at 29 degrees of Capricorn, right? He's moving slowly into Aquarius. He was square this full moon, right? He is just all over the place. What does this mean? It means deeper truth. It means we gotta go deeper. We gotta go deeper. That's what he's asking for. It's deeper transformation. So this discombobulating by Neptune and Uranus, but it's deeper. I don't just want the conscious self, the sun, I want deeper. I want the shadow territory to be revealed. I want the hidden. I want the unconscious. I want deep from the roots, from the core transformation. That's big. That's a thing, right? Meanwhile, you have Eris fighting for your deep truths, and Pluto is like, all right, yeah, deep truths. Let's go a little deeper, though. Like, that's a truth. It's a truth you want to be in relationship. A truth. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go a little bit deeper. Little deeper. Oh, you want to be in a relationship with two different people. Oh, you want that to be intimate. Oh, you don't want them to be in relationship with each other. You want them to be in a relationship with you. Oh, that's like a Pluto, deep, occult, kind of naughty, taboo kind of truth. So taboo truths, they don't have to be sexual at all. But they're like the parts of self, the truths in self that we don't want to admit to. Like, what is it that makes you squirmy? That's this territory. That's the Pluto square sun. That's what Pluto's adding to the mix. Like, what is it that you really don't want to admit to? What is it that you crave, that you long for, that you just really don't want to admit to? Being so honest, this goes so beyond the surface level of self and can take a bit to get in there. Like doing some, let me try to think of like what kind of a journey would support you. For those of you who have shadow workshop, this is a good weekend to do that one. This is the perfect weekend to go into shadow workshop. Shadow workshop, really, really, really good, right? That's Pluto. He's revealing what's deep in the underworld. So if you've not done any shadow work, you've not done any of that deep excavating, go do shadow workshop. We'll put a link below. I think it's $47 still. Maybe it's 97. I don't know. It's under $100 though. I'm not sure. But it's a workshop that you could do over and over and over and over and over. It's not a one and done, because every time you walk into that territory, you will reveal more. You will move more. You will shift more. You will reveal more of that depth to yourself. It's like bringing up what is in your deep unconscious to the surface for you to see. It's powerful. This could be a really, really good weekend to do that, or something like it. Maybe you have your own practices to get into shadow territory, to get into your own underworld. Perfect. Great weekend for that. All right, let me just look over here really quick. Last thing that I want to share is there's a little more depth and a little more truth being brought by this conglomerate of warrior dark goddesses. Warrior goddess Pallas Athena, dark goddess Lilith, dark goddess Kali. They're all conjunct and they're square Saturn. I talked a lot about this in the full moon video. If you haven't seen the full moon video, that's the next best thing to go watch, because that flavors this whole weekend. Especially look for the part where I talk about toxic masculinity at battle with toxic femininity. That's part of what this is bringing up. Toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. Also can be bringing up balance. Your own unique balance between your own masculine, your own feminine. Are they battling each other? Is your masculine overriding your feminine? Is your feminine overriding your masculine? Are they expressing toxically to each other? Are they what is the relationship between those two forces in you? They're very powerful forces in you. One is consciousness, right? That's the masculine consciousness, direction, consciousness, your awareness, your focus. The other is your flow. It's your life force. It's your juice, right? Are they working together? Or is your feminine like, fuck you? Very possibly. Is your masculine terrified of your feminine? Maybe. So if you haven't seen the full moon video, definitely go check that part out specifically. The whole video will really take you deeper into what's going on this weekend. But it is, if I were just to summarize this weekend, one is I would definitely do some really cool stuff around masculine and feminine, the own dance. Like, what is that union within you? What is the dance between those two within you? I would do something around that. And even if it's just diving into that podcast, go for it. I would do some deep shadow work. I really would. I would get to, in however you want to do that, right? But I would get into that unconscious territory. I would do some big, deep shadow work. And then I would really reveal truths to myself. I would really just, even if it's just the first step to myself, it might be revealing and speaking our truth outward as well. Those are the big three for this weekend. My gosh, it is amazing to be with you. We have a retreat coming up in California. I know some of you who are here are already signed up for it. It's about halfway full. That's for light workers. It's for those who consider themselves any sort of like channel for grace. We call it Priestess training just because that's a simple way of saying it. But medicine workers, tantrikas, anyone who's really in that kind of moving love and light and becoming a hollow bone for grace in the world. This will be the only Priestess training we're holding next year, 2025. It's in February. It's the only in-person and online that's happening there. So just a super quick announcement on that, just to let you all know that it's half full. There's an early bird special. You get to save, I think it's $500. Sorry, my numbers and I are not super great when I get into this flow. But you'll find links below with all the details below. All right, that's enough. Huge love to you all. Have an amazing weekend. I'm going to be back to do week ahead astrology reports. I'm really trying to get back into the content flow. I had a funeral over the weekend, and so I've been gone out for a couple days, which was really beautiful. It was really beautiful to step away, but it's also like amazing to be back with you all. So just grateful for everything that you all bring to this community and to me. You fill my heart. All right, big love to you.